Then at this time, I'd call to order the land clearance for the Redevelopment Authority of the City of St. Louis for its regularly scheduled meeting on June 27, 2023, held via Zoom. We have a roll call, please.
Commissioner Jones, not present. Commissioner Spencer,
Present.
Commissioner Anderson,
Present.
and Chair McBride.
Present.
You have a quorum with 3 present and 1 absent.
Thank you. We'll take up the minutes from the meeting held on May 23, 2023.
You need a motion?
If there's a motion to approve those minutes,
So moved. Second.
and properly moved and seconded, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Spencer,
Aye.
Commissioner Anderson,
Aye.
Chair McBride.
Aye.
Motion passes with all voting yes.
All right, and now we'll move on to 23 LCRA 10786, election of officers. Zach, are you previewing that for us?
Yes, sir. This is a resolution approving and authorizing election of officers of the land clearance for redevelopment authority of the city of St. Louis. This slate mentions Matthew McBride, Chair, Marvin Anderson, Vice Chair, Sean Spencer, Treasurer, Neil Richardson, Secretary, Zachary Wilson, Assistant Secretary, Linda Chris, Assistant Secretary. This slate would be for 2023 through 2024.
All right. Are there any suggested changes or modifications?
Just given some of my schedule limitations, it might make sense for me and Sean to flip-flop. I don't know if
I think that
if
has
it really
implications.
matters, but
Yeah, I think if you switch, that does have implications on the SLDC appointment.
okay, let's not tinker with it then.
Your role on SLDC is because you're the vice chair of LCRA. Because Matt is already on SLDC because of his role as being the fourth chair.
Okay, let's leave it as is for now, but
Very good. If there are no modifications, then I would entertain a motion to approve resolution 23 LCRA 10786.
so moved.
Second.
Probably moved and seconded. And can we have a roll call vote on this, please?
Commissioner Spencer,
Aye.
Commissioner Anderson,
Aye.
and Chair McBride.
Aye.
Motion passes with all voting yes.
Thank you. Moving on to resolution 23 LCRA 10787, relating to 2500 Ohio Avenue. Zach, can you walk us through that, please?
Yes, sir. This resolution is declaring 2500 Ohio Avenue to be blighted, improving a blighting study and redevelopment plan for this area. This area is about a little over an acre in Fox Park. It's currently a commercial/industrial building that's been long underused in the neighborhood. The prospective developer is Blackline. They've done many rehabs and new constructions throughout the city. Their proposed development, 65 units, 65 apartments, and 14 artist studios/offices. They bought the building for about about 1.8 million. They're investing 17.9 million to the project. Private financing and historic tax credits will be sought for the financing of the project. We have Michael Schwartz for Blackline on the Zoom. Andrew Knopp to talk over this community scorecard. Jake Narup to talk over the fiscal scorecard. We are supporting 10 years at 90 for the tax abatement.
Very good. Mr. Schwartz, can you give us an overview of the project, please?
Sorry, had to get off of mute.
Understood.
Can y'all hear me?
We can.
Okay, great. Yes, so this building is the Hogan Art Factory, as a lot of you may know it. It is in the heart of the Fox Park neighborhood. It's in pretty bad condition. So we acquired the building back in January. We have been approved for both state and federal historic tax credits. And we are seeking tax abatement given the current economic environment. On our previous project at 2528 Texas that's finishing up construction, that's a 78 unit, nearly $20 million project. We did that without abatement as we were able to secure more favorable financing terms due to interest rates at the time. But this one, given the current climate, we really need to need abatement in order to make this one happen. So 65 units, some artist studio spaces. There are artists in the building, a few artists in the building right now. We'd like to build on that. Parking, as well as amenities. We have all of our zoning approvals, and we are planning on going in for building permit probably tomorrow. Happy to answer any other specific questions that y'all can have.
Thank you. And Commissioner Jones, we're on resolution 23 LCRA 10787 of the LCRA packet. Any questions for Mr. Schwartz?
Is that the old barber building?
So the Coke and Barber Company was made up of several buildings.
Wait a minute. Okay, so yes, we're talking about the barber building.
One of the two, yes.
Okay. You might have said, but what happens to the people that were? You said there were tenants there. What happens to them?
Yeah, there's a couple current art studio tenants, and they are moving. The current owner of the building who leased to them, he's got other spaces that they're moving into, and then hopefully they'll move back into this one.
Are they all good with it?
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
No, I'm sorry. I said, are they all good with it, with the
Yeah.
plan?
Yes, yeah. This building, it's in bad shape, so
Yeah.
they're going to get much better spaces.
Okay. I don't have any other questions. Sorry for joining late. I got stuck in another meeting.
Understood. Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Schwartz?
Just a couple on the amenities of the building and how are you handling the parking? And also just great to see that there was 26 one bedrooms and 1 2 bedrooms that are below the 80%. So I think it's, I think we need to note the affordability of some of these units.
Yeah, and actually on the affordability, that number, that's based on the 2022 HUD data, as modified by SLDC, to actually make it a little more strict, if you will. But based on 2023 data, we're actually over 66% affordable to those below 80% AMI. As far as parking, we have, as part of our project at 2528 Texas, which is block to the east, we did 2 additional parking lots. So directly south of this building. So we actually have, for these 2 buildings, we've got like 125 parking spaces for 147 units. So we kind of did those lots to serve both buildings.
And are you sharing amenities between the 2 buildings, or are there gyms?
So both buildings are going to have community outdoor space, business center, community lounge, all that stuff. This building will also have a fitness center, and we will share that amenity with the residents at the other building.
Oh, that's outstanding.
And how is the 2528 building coming along? I drove past it a couple of days ago, and the windows and signage looks amazing.
Yeah, it's great. It's finishing up, mad dash to finish up. We've got tenants moving in starting August 1st.
Thank you.
And then, yeah, is the building on Texas, is that fully leased, or what's the status of that building?
With, no, we just started leasing it about 6 weeks ago. I think we're about 18% leased, which is actually pretty good considering it's still finishing construction. So it's also priced very competitively like this building. So the interest has been huge because you really can't get, no other new project is as nice as these for this price. And that's something that we're really proud of, and we always try to do.
And are you working with any of the other neighbors in the Fox Park area?
I mean,
Run
we
across
yes,
the street and-
we have we have a letter of support from the Fox Park Neighborhood Association. We've engaged with them, been at a bunch of meetings. We have had meetings with Allie Kendall from Rung and how we can do things together. I have been sitting on the Fox Park Master Planning Committee. So yeah, we've really tried to be very engaged with the neighborhood and participate because, between these two buildings, it's by far the largest investment in one pocket that we have in St. Louis. And so it's really important to us that the neighborhood is successful and grows in a positive way.
Very good. Thank you, Michael. Stay on the line. And let's see, we have our analyses from Andrew and Jake. Mr. Knopf, can you go first and walk us through the community benefits scorecard, please?
I can. So this project scores a 45, which puts it in the second tier. So eligible for up to 20 years of abatement, 10 years at 90, followed by 10 years at 50. We're just recommending 10 years at 90% for this project. So the 45 points are made up of, first and foremost, the affordability of the units, kind of like Mr. Schwartz just talked about. 42% of the units are affordable, 80% AMI, so you get 10 points from that. It's located within an economic justice index area 3. So kind of in the middle of that scale, 10 points for that. It's very close to the current iteration of the future North-South Metrolink route, and the station will be along that route, 9 points from that. It's along both the Jefferson and Gravois commercial corridors. So again, valuable to be building housing around our commercial corridors to strengthen those, 5 points. It's a historic building built in 1900 that would be preserved, so 5 points. Total capital investment of just under $20 million, 4 points for that. And as has been said a couple of different times, they've been awarded and are going to be using state and federal historic tax credits. So 2 points for this sources of outside funding.
Very good. Any questions for Andrew on this project?
I just want to point out real quick, again, with the we were using the 2023 numbers for affordability, there'd be another 5 points. Something, Zach, you and I had talked about. We are doing public infrastructure improvements. We are going to be replacing the sidewalks around the building. And we didn't put that on here. And then we are doing some environmental remediation to the building as well.
And so you're doing sidewalk, is that on just on the side of the street that surrounds the building itself?
Yeah, so which is an entire city block and 2 half city blocks. So
Correct.
it's big.
And then,
And to be honest, there's ongoing conversations with tying their security cameras into the Real Crime Center too.
Yeah.
Alderwoman is very supportive of that. So I just want everyone to be aware of that.
Yeah.
oh, that'd be great. And that would give that corner, that Victor right there needs a little help sometimes.
Yeah, we are our security system or our camera system will we use the software that ties into the real-time crime center, so they have access if they need it.
Very good. And then what's going to become of the fenced in area where there's like was a former loading dock?
The, You
On
mean-
the northwest corner.
so that's, so there's a metal building there, like an addition to the original building. That part gets actually knocked down, so that's a parking lot on that side of the building. I
Okay.
don't know if, Zach, if you've, or Jake, if any of y'all have the renderings available, but yeah, there's 38 parking spaces on that side of the building.
Gotcha. Okay. Any further questions for Andrew on this project? Hearing none, we'll let Jake run us through the financial impact report.
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. We are excited to have this project in front of you finally. I went back and looked at my files, and I think this one's been in the hopper since November or December of last year. So I had to run through, and that predated the new model as well as some of our new formatting. So we had to run through and update all of that last week. But the real estate program here does include 49 one-bedroom units and 16 two-bedroom units.
And Jake, you're cutting out just a little bit. I'm not sure if it's just me or what it is.
We will keep going and cross our fingers and hope it gets better, I guess.
All right, thank you.
We had, the real estate program includes 49 one-bedroom units and 16 two-bedroom units. As Mr. Schwartz kind of alluded to, under the 2022 guidelines, a little over 40% of the units are under the 80% AMI max. The new HUD income limits came out just a few weeks ago. So both those numbers have since gone up, the threshold numbers for 80% AMI. So now about 2/3 of the units fall under the 80% AMI max. One small kind of wrinkle that SLDC does when we calculate those limits is we just assume one person per household. HUD assumes 1.5. So by using a smaller household size, we actually end up with slightly lower limits. So it's a more affordable rent to get those points. So currently the base taxes for the property are about $6,000. And we're projected that number to go up to $22,000 annually during the abatement and a little under $200,000 after the abatement ends. So we did model this with 10 years at 90% abatement. As Andrew explained, this does get up to tier 2, which would technically have a higher ceiling than that. But we have an incentivized developer return of 7.5%. Just to kind of remind everyone, that's the lever that we're using to kind of adjust the abatement level. I just looked, in the median for this area, 7.8%. So we didn't want to incentivize a return that was essentially above median. Obviously, Fox Park is also a bit more stable compared to some areas where we've incentivized projects recently. Fiscal benefit to the city, $223,000 over 10 years, increasing to $665,000 over 20. And benefit to the schools, $87,000 over 10 years, increasing to right about $1 million over 20. We estimated a net present value of that incentive of about $1 million or 5.4% of project costs. And we have MWBE impacts of $3.2 million to minority-owned firms and $1.5 million to women-owned firms, based on hard costs of $13.2 million. I would say all these numbers are slightly conservative because we did not model anything for the commercial space, the artist space, or anything like that. So there's potentially additional kind of knock-on tax revenues that we didn't include in this model. We just focused on the residential. But if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer.
Jake, what's the square footage for the artist space that was not considered in this model?
We actually didn't have that in our program, which is why we didn't model it. But Mr. Schwartz may be able to provide that information.
Yeah, so there's 14 spaces, and they kind of average around 300 square feet each. So they're artist studios, or offices. We get a lot of tenants these days who work remotely, yet their companies will pay for them to, rent in a co-working space or something like that. So, there's a market for that, but we really want to go for, the creative office space. One thing kind of we're doing is we're kind of leaning into the recent history of arts at this building. And, all of the corridors and common areas in this building are going to be like art galleries. Not a lot of original art because we can't afford that, but we're working with different, especially local artists and stuff to get prints, large format, and really showcase work from a lot of local artists throughout the building. Kind of our
That sounds good. Any questions for Jake on the financial impact report?
I'll just make a general comment. I'm in this space right now, and any bids that you might be looking at yesterday could be 10, 15, 20% higher in 2 weeks. So thank you, Michael, for the investment that you're making in this neighborhood. The second one, this is a perfect area to be focused in on because we're getting closer to Gravois and Jefferson there. And I appreciate you taking the risk. And, our project went from, I think 2017, it was like a $9 million hard cost. We're up to 16 million now, just 6 years later. So just finding people to actually do the work, it's just a very challenging environment to pull off a project of this size. So thank you for taking the risk in St. Louis.
The last few that we've done have been like south of Chippewa. So, this is like, might as well be the Central West End. No, I'm just kidding.
And also just looking at the graph, that's the chart that we want to see. This building could be vacant for another 20 years, or we could have somebody make a massive investment into it. So the return to the city right off the bat's going to be a gain, and long term and in perpetuity is going to be an incredible return for the city. So thank you.
We hope. Thank you.
Yeah. And although not vacant, vastly underutilized, I believe.
Yeah.
And other than 2 weekends a year, I think. But I imagine that's not going to be in the plan to keep the pre-Mardi Gras festivals.
Not at this building. We're going to miss those 2 weekends a year, but they won't be happening at this building.
They don't have to go home, but they can't stay there. I got you.
Exactly.
All right. Any questions for any of the presenters then on this project from the commissioners? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve resolution 23 LCRA 10787.
So move.
Second.
So properly moved and seconded. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Sorry. Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Anderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Spencer,
Aye.
and Chair McBride.
Aye.
Motion passes without voting yes.
Thank you. Thank you. And good luck, Mr. Schwartz.
Thank you very much. You have a good one.
All right. We're going to skip down to resolution 23 LCRA 10789, renewal options for the 5500 block of is that Kate's Avenue? Miss Wright, are you? There you are.
Hello. So this is Yafet Elamine of this Case Place project she has. They have had an option since 2019. They have seeked CDA funding 2 or 3 times, and they was not approved for the last one. So they're seeking another 12 months so they can get secure other assistance and apply for other CDA funding again.
Okay. And then so there's this is the same option amount that had previously been in place.
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's another 12 month at the same option fee.
It looks like is it
$14,002.
okay. Any questions for Ms. Wright on this resolution? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve resolution 23 LCRA 10789.
Thank you.
So move using previous role.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded with the request for previous role, or is there any objection to that request? Hearing none, the motion passes and the resolution is approved. Thank you, Ms. Wright.
Thank you.
Charlie, 23 LCRA 10790, the budget of the land clearance for utilization authority. What do we have for redevelopment authority?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the annual budget again, similar to PIE where the budget is attached as page 3. It's a 5-column budget. The first 2 columns show the results for the last fiscal year. Then the center columns, columns 3 and 4 show the budget for the current year and the projections for the current year, since it's still not over. It concludes in about at the end of the week. And then the budget for FY 24. I'll go right to column 5 for the budget on FY 24 and compare it to the projected FY 23. The first 3 entries are parking entries. The top one is our baseball lot, which is on Spruce and 9th Street. The exit ramp from I-64 transverses this lot, and it's really only good for parking for events, although we do get neighboring businesses on a monthly and some daily parking, and sometimes it'll attract even event crowds for the Scott Trade. The lot is projected to make $310,000 in FY 23, and we're raising that 10% to $340,000 in FY 24. As we anticipate more people maybe going back to office work as opposed to working from home. The City Block 124 lot is adjacent to the convention center, right outside the Edward Jones Dome. It is projecting a 270 in FY 23. We're going to 300,000. That's a 10% increase. We picked up a lot of parking revenue there from people that used to work in the that used to park in the garage that was torn down by the city. So this has been picking up for the last 2 years. It's the old Quadrani garage that is now at ground level and nothing is there. We shouldn't have any trouble achieving that 300,000. On City Block 118, we're projecting, that's the garage that's adjacent to Steeple. It's in the St. Louis Center area. We're projecting 2.6 million in FY 23, 2.340. I've reduced that 10% in FY 24, as there will hopefully be some construction activity that might reduce our revenues. So I think we'll be okay at that 2.34. Our lease revenue is the next item. It's the same as it was in FY 23. It's the lease of City Block 177 until it's developed. The bond development fees, slight increase from 1.3 to 1.5. That's due to uncertainty in the market about what it would cost to do development at SLDC. We had the Baker analysis of our incentive program, and that's all complete. I think there's developers that kind of know what they're dealing with better than they did a year ago. So we're going to 1.5 on that. The biggest part of that 1.5 is the transfer of funds from the now Caesars Casino to LCRA at $1 million. And then that's part of the transfer to SLDC, which I'll talk about in a second. We have interest income of, 370 projected in 23, 530,000 projected in 24. Again, increase of rates, mainly due to that. We have, other category of 20,000, which we probably won't spend. And then 2 program items, non-governmental and intergovernmental. The non-governmental, we got it $1 million, and these are not yet identified, but we're still working with demolition program with MSD that would fall under that category. And anything else that would come from more of a non-governmental source, which would channel through us. Those revenue items, the 1 million and the 3 million, are offset in that program expense item, the 4.2 million under expenses. So even though they total 4 million, I have 4.2 in program expense, meaning there's really a 200,000 contingency for program expense that we do not have enough revenue offset. Interest expense of 640,000 relates to borrowings that we have, and consultant expense of 200,000 is right below that. Things like lighting studies or hotel studies, and that's where that would be captured. Depreciation expense mainly related to the garage at the St. Louis Center area, 850,000. That's the facility operating expense of 850,000. Cost of staffing, security, light, utilities, and all that at all the locations. So that's at 850,000 at the same level. Depreciation of 450 is our annual depreciation of improvements that are in place right now, and contingency of 200,000. I got appraisals and titles of 20, and then we talked about that program expense of 4.2. Subtracting the expense from the revenue, it would generate income of 2,610,000. We're asking for a transfer to SLDC of 2.6 million. You can see it was 2.5 in FY23 and 2.4 in FY22, so it's kind of a $100,000 trend up. The fund balance of LCRA at the end of the year would be about 10,000 higher than it is now, 14.694. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
And Charlie, the fund balance to the SLDC, that is to compensate for all the SLDC staff that is helping support us in these programs, correct?
Yeah, the SLDC budget was approved a week ago or a little longer. The SLDC budget is roughly 15 million, and it gets its funds from a variety of sources, including agency contributions. When SLDC was formed, it was always designed that the development agencies would support the staffing of SLDC, and SLDC gets its funds from non-agency sources such as Block Grant, ARPA. It generates its own fees through New Markets Tax Program and things like that. So it uses a variety of sources to meet that $15 million budget. And the 2.6 is a sizable, actually, it's the largest agency support of any of the 6 asset holding agencies. Very much appreciated at the SLDC front, and SLDC does a lot of work on behalf of the Lake Clearance Authority.
Very good. Any questions for Charlie on the budget?
I had a couple of questions already answered at the SLDC meeting, but one thing that does stand out is the garage, the 118 garage, and the reduction of the potential income in the budget. Charlie, do you think that that's a pretty conservative evaluation on what we might be looking at? If there's any issues with the garage or anything that might prevent us to meet that number?
I do think it's a conservative number. Stiefel guarantees a certain number of spaces, and they are they're one of the employers downtown that has required their people to come back. I guess that I actually heard they're bringing on more people. So anyway, if even during COVID, we generated a steady income from Stiefel.
Excellent. Thank you.
Any other questions for Charlie? All right, then at this time, I'd entertain a motion to approve our budget and resolution 23 LCRA 10790.
So move, request a previous roll.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded with request for previous rolls or any objection to that request. Hearing none, the motion passes and the resolution is approved. Thank you for your good work, Charlie. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, I'm going to entertain a motion to go into executive session. And David, if you would help me designate the statutory reasoning for same.
Sure, that is to discuss sealed bids and proposals and related documents or documents related to a negotiated contract as provided by section 610.021.12.
All right, I would entertain a motion for the reasons Mr. Meyer just stated to go into executive session.
So move.
Second.
May we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Spencer,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Anderson,
Aye.
and Chair McBride.
Aye,
Motion passes with all voting yes.
thank you. We have all our commissioners. Linda, could you do a roll call?
Commissioner Spencer,
You're muted, Sean.
Commissioner Spencer,
Present.
Commissioner Anderson,
Aye. For present. I can't.
Commissioner
We'll
Jones,
accept President and I.
Present.
and Chair McBride.
Present. All right, at this time, we will take up resolution 23 LCRA 10788 relating to engineering services at 400 North 6th Street. Rob Orr, are you going to walk us through that, please?
I will. Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Resolution 23 LCRA 10788 authorizes an agreement between LCRA and CDG engineers for structural engineering services related to the LCRA East parking garage, part of the former St. Louis Center. The funds are available from the reserves of this operational fund of the parking garage. As you know, LCRA in April approved a pre-qualified shortlist of engineering firms. Structural engineering was one of those disciplines that was services were sought.
Here, Rob, let me pause just a second. I see Commissioner Anderson's hand up. Marvin, did you need something, or is that an inadvertent raising of the hand? You can't hear? Can you hear us, Marvin?
Hey, I lost audio, sorry.
Okay, do you have it now?
Sorry, say that again.
I don't have audio
Your Zoom link?
through my computer. I can't hear you. I can hear you through the phone.
Okay, we'll leave you on the phone then. How's
Okay,
that?
that's fine.
Okay.
Okay. And then Marvin, could you mute yourself while you're listening to it on the phone, just so there's not a lot of feedback? Okay. All right. Thank you, Rob. If you could proceed, I apologize. Just want to make sure everybody can hear.
So in April, we approved a pre-qualified list of engineers, including structural engineers. We convened a selection committee at the appointment of Director Neil Richardson. We determined, after reviewing the qualifications for the structural engineers that were on the list, CDG Engineers was the most qualified firm for this scope of work in our determination. We sent them an RFP seeking a proposal that would basically cover the following services. They were to do a structural evaluation to understand what the conditions of the identified problem areas are in the garage. We also wanted them to create engineering plans that are necessary and suitable to receive a building permit through the building division in order to construct those repairs, and then help us create bid documents that we would use to go out and hire a contractor that can complete those repairs, and then also oversee the repairs of that contractor during that construction period. CDG has provided us with a proposal that has a, at this time, and not to exceed fee of $173,800. Sorry about that. There's an Amber Alert going off.
No.
All kinds of audio issues today. $173,800. With this resolution, we are seeking authorization for up to $225,000, but the contract will be written with a cap of $173,800. But the reason for the additional authorization at this time is that, given the serious nature of this problem, we don't want to have even a few days or a week or even a few weeks delay in authorizing additional work that may be required. As the engineers do their investigation, they may uncover other situations, or maybe they'll find out that it's not as severe as what they identified or what they anticipated. So we just need to be very flexible to keep them on the job and keep them going, so that we can have the bid documents completed by the end of October, and then hire a contractor to complete these repairs in a very timely fashion. And that's kind of a quick overview. I'll welcome any questions at this time, and I think Charlie's still available as well.
Thank you, Rob. Are there you have any questions for Mr. Orr on this resolution? And as Rob, is it correct that CDG has had previous experience with this particular garage and has in its maintenance?
Not so much with the maintenance. We contracted with CDG to give us their assessment of the Tucker Locust Garage using our same short list, actually a previous version of the short list, but the same process. During that work that they performed for us on the Tucker Locust Garage, we then looked to a structural engineering firm to help us review the Carl Walker report that was a structural assessment of the East Garage conditions. And the reason for doing so is that we don't have anyone that is capable enough on staff that could review an engineering report of this magnitude and come to any independent conclusions, I guess, based on that report. So we hired CDG to help us review the Carl Walker report, and then upon completion of their findings and their reporting of their findings, we determined that it was necessary to immediately go out, hire a structural engineer, to then design the improvements that are necessary to preserve the useful, safe life of this garage. And CDG rose to the top of that pre-qualified list using our selection process. So that's why we are presenting here CDG engineers as the highest and most qualified firm to complete this work from our pre-qualified list.
All right. And is there going to be a MWBE component to this work as well?
There is, and they have proposed, is it TSI, Peter?
Peter's muted, but I believe,
Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
That is correct. TSI is proposed to be the sub for this and approximately right at approximately about 25% of the overall contract.
okay, that's outstanding. All right, any other questions for Rob on this resolution? Hearing none, I entertain a motion to approve Resolution 23 LCRA 10788.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Spencer,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Anderson,
Aye.
and Chair McBride.
Aye,
Motion passes with all voting yes.
thank you. All right, and then do we have anything in open agenda?
No, sir.
I would just mention that with all four of you present, you may want to possibly discuss the idea of adjusting your meeting time so that all four of you can continue to be present. Not necessarily something you need to decide today, but I think as an accommodation to Marvin, and so we could get a full group today, it was moved to 4. I don't know if that's something you might want to consider on an ongoing basis, or to shift to another day. There's nothing set in stone that says that this is the day and time it has to be.
Sure, we've moved this
No.
around before. Does this time work better for everyone, Marvin?
Certainly works better for me, but sometimes my 3 o'clock runs over past 4. But today it was good for me.
Well, we can send an email out, see what possible days and times that work best for all four of you, and then we can reconvene in about a week and discuss amongst ourselves. Not reconvene, but we'll contact you guys.
I think that sounds good, Zach. And Kennard, does this time work well for you also?
Sometimes it does. Today I was late, but things are changing down here. I don't even know what I'm gonna do tomorrow.
That is the nature of the business, isn't it? So I understand exactly what you're saying. Well, very good. I mean, the only thing we can do is try to find the time that generally works for the most people, and then as people's schedules change, then we can adjust as well. But I appreciate David and Maya bringing that up. That's a very good point. Let's see if I can get back to my agenda for just a moment. Looks like our next meeting is scheduled for July 25, 2023. If there's nothing else, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We are adjourned. Thank you all. We appreciate it. And we'll be in touch.